Happy half-birthday, Rose. I just want to find my daughter. I'll always be there for you, no matter what. You are my precious Rose.
And I didn't care. So long as we were together.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. I love you.
Interesting. This is a bit different from, I should say a lot different from different Resident Evils that have, come out so far. So this one is based on the relationship between the father and the daughter. The father is looking for the daughter, and apparently now the daughter is like, I guess, has to find the father or something. So it is quite different, and well, perhaps, it's when more is revealed, or one checks out the game, one sees the political aspect, because Resident Evil always has a political aspect, and the Umbrella Corporation and what it's trying to do, and the struggle for money and power, and unleashing viruses, and doing all of that. I wonder if due to COVID they would try to be more careful with how they tap around the virus issue, when it comes to the source of viruses, and people putting out viruses, politicians using that as basically as a weapon to, at the end of the day, make a lot of money and stuff like that. Because I think there's a Resident Evil about somebody who released vaccines and released the virus and wanted to make money from vaccines, and also wanted to destroy people and get revenge, those kinds of things. So those types of storylines are common within the Resident Evil franchise, but this is a bit different, from, I would say, a lot different from what I've seen so far, from the franchise. So it's like, at first it was like the guy was in the lead, the father was looking for the daughter, I guess she was taken as a baby, and then now it's like the female character is in the lead, the daughter is in the lead, and of course there's this shift of making the woman the most masculine person in the video game or in the entertainment project, which is sad.
Sometimes when I feel lost or afraid, I try to imagine what he might have said to me.
So I'm guessing he died, now the daughter is the heroine of the, at least this story arc within the franchise.
No matter, your imminent demise is inevitable.
I love you, and I won't let anything happen to Rose.
I've got this!
Okay. And of course, there's much to be said about the concept of viruses changing people, changing people into zombies, as well as viruses changing people into superhuman creatures. And you have to see the aspect of transhumanism. And you also have to know that a lot of the technology that we see today, from drones, VR and all of that, it was first of all cartoons and toys. The toys of yesteryears have become the technology of today. So all of this, this showcases imaginations and dreams, and the direction that certain people in power want the world to go to for humanity with the transhumanism, editing, human beings and creating superhumans, with with the aid of technology, and of course now with synthetic stuff, and fibers, and people being able to clone human beings, especially from experimentations with aborted fetuses of babies and all of that. They are now able to create flesh-like material. So even if someone loses an arm, rather than replacing it with a purely mechanical arm, it could be replaced with an arm that looks human, but underneath it has a lot of mechanical structures inside. And this is the direction that a lot of these powers that be are investing in through certain mega corporations that they own, and that is the direction that it is they want to take things. And it is sad because the Bible warns us about with the mark of the beast, the control of the mind, and basically a ship that's is basically your ID card, your passport, your vax, everything all rolled in one in a ship, a mark of the beast. And it is also going to be a means of government control, because the government can track you anywhere you are in the world. When you look at all the satellites and all the internet connections around the world, very soon the human himself or herself will be connected to the internet. Because those chips that will be put into people's bodies will be connected to the internet. And the government is going to basically a one world government that controls all the internet in the name of safety and security, and to prevent hacking and all that. And with governments now creating centralized currencies, there is central digital currencies, basically the kind of thing that Bitcoin is. Central banks of different nations and different clusters of groups are creating their own digital currency, and they are going away with paper. We want a cashless society, no more paper. So it will be impossible for you to buy or sell without it, because now the new money is not something that is physical, it's now digital. And when you can shake hands with somebody and transfer money, and all those kinds of things, all those styles of innovation, you have to look behind it as in all the power and authority that is given to the government and what the government will use it to do when it comes to controlling people. We have Elon Musk with Neuralink, and what he's doing with that to control people's minds. And of course, there's the stuff that Google is doing, with technology, to basically imitate the human mind. And we know about the sentient AI that Google develops that thinks it's a real living thing, that basically is much smarter than a human when it comes to processing abilities and all that. But making things like that, the idea of we have now become like gods and we can now create minds and bodies. We cannot create bodies and minds. It's a problem. And the human beings now begins to look at, some humans now look at other humans as products, as just bodies and minds. And it's like, let us improve, let us upgrade the human body. Let us upgrade humanity. It is very sad.
I'm Kento Kinoshita, the director of the Winter's expansion.
So now this is the gameplay overview. So let's see what those involved in making the game have to say.
Ethan gave his life to protect Rose. And in the end, you see how she's grown. What kind of person is 16-year-old Rose? That's what we wanted to explore, so we decided to have her at that age in this expansion.
You said you had something important to tell me?
She's trying to get rid of her unwanted powers, but to do that, she is forced to return to the origin of her misfortune. We thought that concept had a lot of potential.
So now the unwanted part, basically the transhumanism, but in this case they are saying it as something she does not want. but then again, that is how Superman is also sold, as in he doesn't want to be Superman, he wants to be normal. But of course, later, at least when you look at the Smallville canon of the Superman, entire canon of stories, so there is that aspect of presenting it that way, but it's still the same thing. Because an individual watching it, especially susceptible young people, be like, so you have superhuman powers, that is so cool and all of that, why want to be normal? But to make it look like if they are not selling transhumanism, it's like she doesn't want to be it. It's just like to make a vampire lovable. When it comes to a movie like Interview with a Vampire, they made a vampire more human, more like he regrets, he wishes, he didn't have to kill people, but he has he cannot control his urge. He just needs blood to survive and all of that. The urge that he cannot control. So that kind of thing, it changes the whole cell and how people will receive the character. Because if it was like, the guy just a villain, he just enjoys going around killing people and drinking their blood, that is, why not, it's very easy to hate the guy, why is he doing this, so somebody should get rid of him. But when they now try to humanize it and make it like, he doesn't want to do this, but he cannot help it, he cannot help himself, so he's kind of like a victim number one of his circumstance, on a deeper look. So that is a way of selling it. But at the end of the day, they are selling a vampire and making a vampire lovable or likable. So in the same way, this is selling transhumanism. So it doesn't matter if the character in this plane wants to be human and not have the superpowers, but the superpower that came as a result of the virus or the editing, thanks to virus that was created in a lab. So this is what they do. It's just like homosexuality. When they started selling homosexuality in sitcoms, they started selling it as the homosexual was the one that was the villain or had something wrong with them, and they allude to this character is a homosexual. So you could see that kind of thing, like certain Bond villains, and basically Bond and villain henchmen, were homosexual. So they will put those kinds of things, and in that way, it is like, even though the movie has a homosexual in it, which people would have said, why are they putting homosexuals in movies? Now they have put the homosexual in a position of, the person is a villain, the person has something wrong with them. But as time went on, they shifted the role of that person to what it is right now, where anytime you see a homosexual in a movie or in a sitcom, the homosexual is all wise and all knowing and kind and wonderful and all of that. So you can see the intention of where things were going with it.
For an interesting story. So the setting this time is the realm of consciousness, going back one more time to that village. The word nightmare is synonymous with fear. For instance, if you've ever had a childhood fever that caused a nightmare, even if they only last for an instant, like the feeling of being attacked by a giant doll, or something else similarly so completely unrealistic, can remain as a fragment of a memory for the rest of your life. I wanted the core of the feeling of fear to come from the kind of memories and nightmares that still haunt people to this day. We wanted to choose characters that would interest people who didn't play the mercenaries mode, but would be interested in playing a different type of character. There are characters called lords, and playing as them allows you to perform amazing skills and attacks that a regular human could not. Being able to play them was more fun, so that's why we chose those characters. We balanced things to ensure that as little time as possible was spent waiting for enemies to appear. For instance, if a player doesn't finish off an enemy, it will chase after the player. We made adjustments like this to raise the tempo and increase the fun of defeating enemy after enemy. In an FPS, you experience the game world as if it's through your own eyes. So it can be incredibly scary to play a horror game from that perspective. There are some players out there who might find it too scary or experience motion sickness in the first-person perspective. they might not enjoy the FPS genre. So we wanted to make a third-person mode for those players, to enjoy the game to its fullest.
You know, that's a smart move to create two different game modes. So it's like, in case they do not like first-person shooter games, you know, they don't like that mode, there's a, you know, third-person mode. And, you know, there is something that is unique about Resident Evil, because, you know, when I remember Resident Evil 4, you know, playing that on the PS2, it struck me like interesting, because it had the feel of a first-person shooter mixed with third-person shooter, even though they did not separate the modes, you know, but you could see Neon from the waist up, and of course, you know, turn around, you know, the gun and all of that, and of course there were the cutscenes of tap X, you know, multiple times for Leon to somersault or interact, you know, or attack an enemy, kick an enemy, and all of that. So that was there, you know, and it's an interesting thing, because when it comes to first-person shooters, you know, really not everybody's into that, and there are people who are really into that and we prefer a first-person shooter to a third-person, you know, shooter where they see the whole character. So this is interesting. In this case, from what I've seen from the gameplay, it's still that Resident Evil 4 style of, you know, what they are calling third-person mode. In this case, is not full body where you see the whole character, you know, from the head to the toe when the character is moving in the world, you know. It's not that kind of thing like you will see with other games, you know. It's still from the waist up.
While there's still a sense of immersion and fear with a third-person perspective, when the player character dies, it doesn't feel as much like you yourself are dying. And you can enjoy playing it as a game to confront the fear that it creates, which is a very different experience. I think third-person mode is a perfect way for people to return to Resident Evil Village, as both a game and an experience. Wouldn't it be okay to show Ethan's face? We gave that question some thought. So even in third-person mode, if you try to turn the camera to see his face, Ethan will look away, and you're not quite able to get a good look. Each of the 3 editions are interesting in their own way, and we hope you really enjoy the expansion. Please look forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, so that is that. You know, that being said, make sure you check out Alfred's VIP and subscribe to Plus with Alfred's VIP. You know, it's right now just $5 per month, so that you can get access to exclusive videos, music, novels, cartoons, games, interviews, bedtime stories, short stories, articles, and a whole lot more, you know. And by subscribing, you are actually supporting and helping to sponsor, you know, the creation and distribution of more free Christian entertainment. Thank you and God bless you. Say this prayer audibly if you have not given your heart to Jesus Christ. Dear God, I believe in my heart that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, came, died, and was raised from the dead to save me. I confess Him, Lord, over my life, and ask you to give me your Holy Spirit to live within me. I receive your Spirit by faith, and thank you for I am now born again. In Jesus' name, amen. If you just prayed that prayer, congratulations, you're now a Christian. Go to Alfred.vip and click the salvation prayer link in the main menu to get resources that will help you with your work with God. God bless you.